Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Adam Roxby here, and in this video what I'm going to be doing is giving you my first impressions of the brand new album from KMFDM Kunst. So this was released last month, it's just come through my door today and I haven't had a chance to listen to it, so I'm just going to pop it on my computer, have a little listen and give you my first impressions. So the first question you're going to want to know is it worth buying it? And obviously as a dedicated KMFDM fan I'm going to have to say yes. But for me it's not up there with some of the pinnacles of their discography, things like the 1997 album Symbols, which featured the classic track Megalomaniac. I would always remember that track as being the one track that really took me from the course I was on. Back in the day I was listening to awful dance music and sort of pseudo techno and stuff like that, but in one party in France Megalomaniac came on, it might have even been a remix, and listen to that, changed my life. So some of the heavier stuff, things like the Angst or Power, the albums like Attack perhaps, are gonna be possibly satisfying that heavy guitar riffs. So let's go through some of the tracks. We've got let's open this up here right now. So it's all still very fresh in my mind, obviously. And I have to say, it's nice to have the time just to sit down and listen to an album and have a flick through the notes. But one thing that is a little bit disappointing is you just get the boring old notes. I remember albums used to have really thick sleeves and you could really go through and spend a bit of time in it, but I just seem to be following along the lyrics. But anyway, I suppose the first thing to say is the album art. Again, it's by long-time KMFDM collaborator Brute, based in the UK, I believe. It features, I suppose it's sort of a big Amazonian strong woman taking a chainsaw to a Christian cross. So again, the traditional inflammatory, striking, strident imagery you'd expect from Brute. The first track, Kunst, and if we play a bit of it now, possibly one of the points. Every album from KMFDM, you've got to have this self-knowing, self-deprecating, self-reverential track where it refers to themselves or where they refer to their back catalogue. And this one, it literally is their back catalogue where they reel off, name some of their most famous tracks, such as, or some of their more popular tracks, such as Drug Against War, Son of a Gun. These tracks, if you haven't heard before, check them out, they're absolutely awesome. Adios, possibly not one of the most popular ones, but one I really quite like. More and Faster and Spitsperm, so some real sort of power as well. Quality tracks, but it seems to be done in a bit of a lazy way, so not one of my favourite ones from them, and not one of the best of their sort of tradition of self-mockery and self-reverential at the same time. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to pop my headphones in so I can actually hear the track as well while I'm talking about them, because something about KMFDM, it just seems to sometimes you can get into the worry of it just being industrial music by numbers if you're not careful. So hopefully it hasn't come across that way. But second track, Ave Maria. Again, it's the first track where you've got the vocals by Lucia, which actually I didn't know this, but Lucia and the one consistent member of the band, Sasha Konietzko, they got married in 2005. So there you go. So with Ave Maria, you've got the heavy beats, you've got the introduction of the sort of that guitar riff that just drives the track forward, and the discordance between Sasha and Lucia's voice is, it's what people come to it for. You've got the Lucia's haunting, ethereal soundscape, and then Sasha comes in with his trademark cutting voice. Again, possibly one of the better ones on the album. The next track, Quake. I mean, KMFDM's always been about anarchy and defiance. Again, I think this is a track that's probably going to grow on me over time, actually. So none of the tracks, actually, I have to say, stood out as being amazing, except possibly one which I found an instant attraction to. So skipping over some of the other tracks, we've got the next big thing. Actually, is the other track I wanted to talk to you about. This is actually written and composed, actually not entirely by KMFDM. We've got William Wilson, who came in to lend his vocals to this track as well as the writing duties. And the thing about some of the KMFDM tracks, they seem to absorb the artists that come in there. So while you've got these talents that come in to lend their skills to the writing and recording duties, sometimes they can just be absorbed by the KMFDM machine and just sound like every other one, where you've got the heavy guitars, the thumping bass, and the iconic shouted statements, which just seem to you need to just absorb and just listen to and just let it go into your head rather than sort of concentrate too much on. But again, not a bad track. Pussy Riot actually is possibly one of the better tracks on the album, and this is their song in solidarity of the, as we all know by now, the Russian protest group. So you start off with a bit of news coverage just describing what Pussy Riot was about and the news story, and then Lucia comes in and gives you her sort of trademark, slightly off-key lyrics, talking about the solidarity that they have with these protesters. And when I first heard it, I wasn't entirely in love with it, but actually thinking back at it now, yeah, it's actually quite a good track, and definitely one I'm going to be putting back on again when we get over. Pseudocide, the next track. The fact that I'm having to listen back to it again now, just to say something about it, isn't too grand, but driving, thrashing guitars with distorted vocals. However, Animal Out is the only one that actually made me stop and prick my ears up. Starts off with a electronic soundscape with a slight hint of alarm before building and sort of progressing. And actually, I think the reason why I picked onto this track more than the others was that it reminded me of some of the earlier 90s stuff, some of the stuff that I really fell in love with KMFDM. Things like Extort, Angst, Power, some of the more heavier guitar-centric tracks, which I suppose I'm actually also still longing for the days of the old KMFDM when it was people like Enesh. And the only other, I mean, you've got things like The Mess You Made, featuring the Swedish band Morlocks. Again, it sounds on paper a fantastic thing, but when you come to listen to it, I could take or leave it. But the final track, I mean, in previous albums, the final track was reserved for, I'm thinking back to World War III from 2003. The final track from there was a sort of very tongue-in-cheek, a really, really funny track. And, again, all these tracks and albums I'd highly recommend you checking out, because really some good stuff. And I was expecting the same sort of thing again from the final track on this album called I Love Not, or I Heart Not. But you get this, at the start, this child's voice, and you think, that's sort of quite cool. Who is that? And you look down there, it's Asia Konietzko, the daughter of Sasha and Lucia. So that's pretty cool. So what can I say about this album? Well, again, like I say, it's not up there with some of the best of KMFDM, but it's certainly well worth the money I spent on it. So there you go. I hope you liked this video. I hope you check out KMFDM if they're new to you. definitely check out their back catalogue, because you've got some real gems in there. And again, I might as well have a direct debit to them whenever they come have a new album out, because of the way they saved me from my horrendous music taste. And also they're on tour soon as well, promoting this album, so if they're coming near you, get out there, get and see them and enjoy what they do. So plenty more video and audio stuff coming on adamroxby.co.uk, so just head on over to there and subscribe to be informed of all of the new cool stuff coming out when it comes out, and I'll speak to you all again really soon. Cheers.